Hakai.
After Sadala's ruler, Krista suddenly challenged the god of destruction, Goku, to combat. They headed to a vast desert, the region as far away from civilization as possible. Goku and Krista face each other as Kaba and Vados look on. A worried Kaba says that even though they are far from civilization, he doubts that such powerful men's battle will not affect the planet. But Vados, helpful as ever, takes care of it. She creates a force field around them. This force field will contain their energy so that it does not harm the planet, and it will also prevent them from being felt. That means they are completely under the radar now. Goku, as he begins to emanate his energy, says that Vados helped them, and now they can fight carefree. Krista, while taking off his cape and also emanating his energy, says this is perfect. Kaba, dissatisfied with the whole situation, says he doesn't know what the king has in his head to challenge Goku to a battle. Vados theorizes that it is perhaps in the nature of Saiyans to challenge powerful people, and she also asks if Krista is powerful. Kaba responds that Krista is probably the strongest Saiyan to ever exist in the universe. He tells that many years ago, an extremely powerful army invaded Sadala, and that army was so powerful that the Saiyan army could not do anything against them. It was a massacre, but an absurdly powerful child was among the enemy hordes, and that child single-handedly defeated them all. That child was Krista. Vados says this is impressive. Kaba agrees and continues to tell the story, saying that Krista was considered a great hero of Sadala, and he was becoming more and more popular until he managed to become king, and even though he was not part of the nobility of the planet, which was unprecedented in history, from Sadala. Since then, he has been a great king, and it was thanks to him that Sadala stopped being some barbaric planet because what it is today. Kaba even says that Krista is probably the best thing that Saiyan race ever had. But Vados says that Sadala's process of change and development must have taken many centuries, and Saiyans don't live that long. But Kaba explains that the king is special. Many years ago, harboring a great desire to protect Sadala, he went to Namek and made a wish for the Dragon Balls and became immortal. Since then, Krista has ruled Sadala, and that's been nearly 1,000 years. Vados says that she is impressed. A Saiyan who was already extremely powerful in his childhood and who is already over 1,000 years old. He must be a very special warrior. But Kaba is sad. He says that Goku is now a god of destruction and that even King Krista should be easily defeated. But Vados says things that are not quite like that. She explains that because he doesn't control his power well as a god of destruction, Goku has a huge limit of power he can use in his fight. This means that he will fight very limited, using a small percentage of his power. Krista has a chance to win. Goku and Krista have already raised their ki, both fighters emanating their power, and then they advance to begin combat. When they clash their fists, only the pressure of the impact destroys the ground around them. After that, the two disappear at high speed and start an exchange of blows so fast that only their figures can be seen. Krista kicks Goku, who defends. Goku punches Krista, who disappears to dodge. Kaba is impressed. They are so fast that he can barely see them, and they are so strong that just the impact of their blows makes his bones vibrate. Goku and Krista continue with an intense exchange of blows, both fighters attacking, defending, and dodging with great skill. At one point, Goku tries to land a blow on Krista, but the king disappears from his front and goes to his back, preparing a kick. Goku manages to block the kick, but is thrown by the force of the attack. Krista accompanies Goku and tries to land another hit. Goku disappears to dodge, but Krista anticipates where he is going to appear, nearly punches Goku in the face, who narrowly dodges it. Kaba is impressed. Goku is under pressure. Goku in his thoughts thinks that Krista is stronger than he thought at the moment, but even though he was not transformed, he was using the power of a Super Saiyan 3, but even so he is at a disadvantage. The distraction is costly and Goku is hit by Krista's hard punch in the chest, and he clearly feels the blow quite a bit. The destroyer tries to fight back with an attack, but Krista disappears in front of him and reappears on his back and lands a kick on the destroyer. Goku is thrown a few meters away by the king's strength, but manages to stop. But Krista doesn't want to give the god time to think and launches 2 ki blasts at him. Goku doesn't stand still, and after creating 2 Kienzans in his hand, he launches them at Krista. The attack collides, and the Kienzans win and head towards Krista, who deftly dodges it by lying in the air and passing between the 2 energy discs. But Goku manipulates the disc to return to the king, but Krista manages to grab one of the discs without being cut and throws it at the second. Both explode. But this was the opportunity that Goku wanted, and he appears on the back of the king, ready to hit him with the attack. But Krista sees him and lands a strong kick in the abdomen of the Saiyan god, who is very surprised because he was sure he did the instant instant transmission right in Krista's blind spot and hid his ki. How did the king notice him? Krista wastes no time, and while Goku is still stunned by what just happened, he moves on to the Saiyan's back and fires 2 energy attacks from his hands that launch the God of Destruction into the ground, destroying a portion of the ground. After gaining space by knocking his opponent to the ground, Krista forms a large ball of energy, then launches it at Goku. Goku holds off the attack but has a hard time, and while the god is distracted by the major attack, Krista forms a minor attack in his hand and thinks that attack will end the fight. Goku, to get rid of the bigger attack, uses the Hakai, but Krista takes advantage of the fact that he was blinded by the attack and appears right in front of him ready to land the next attack. And then a huge explosion happens. Kaba, impressed, says that he's never seen King Krista use so much power in an attack, and if Goku was hit by that. But Vados reassures the young Saiyan, probably seeing something he doesn't. After the explosion, he sees a large crater in the ground, and in the center of his crater is Krista, who apparently hit nothing but the ground with his attack. And behind the king in the sky was Goku, who was now using Ultra Instinct. Krista, watching his opponent, says that he's finally transformed, but that doesn't look like a Saiyan transformation. Goku explains that this is Ultra Instinct, a special ability of angels that not even the gods of destruction can control well. Krista says that Kaba mentioned something like that when he got back from the Tournament of Power. Advancing against Goku with great determination, Krista tells the god to show him the power of his Ultra Instinct. Krista tries to string attacks on Goku, but the god of destruction dodges all the blows with apparent ease. Kaba, apparently worried, asks Vados if Goku should be using this ability. In the Tournament of Power, he seemed to suffer a lot using it. Vados explains that in the Tournament of Power, Goku still had the body of a mortal, and because this is an advanced divine technique, his body suffered when using it. But now that he's a god, he has an immortal body. That won't be a problem anymore. But in her thoughts, Vados thinks the problem was something else. If Goku uses Ultra Instinct too much and unleashes too much power, he could lose control, and that would be a big problem. For now, even using this ability, he is using a safe power level, even lower than what he used against Jiren. But the time between balance and imbalance is very thin at this point. That is, if Goku uses a little more power, he can lose control at any moment. While dodging Krista's attacks, Goku also thinks about his situation. He's at the limit of the power he can use, and if he raises his power just a little more, he might lose control. If he loses control, Vados will intervene in the fight, which means he will have lost. But he doesn't want to lose, he wants to win. Goku finally counters Krista with a punch. The king blocks the attack, but the destroyer's force is so great that it throws the mortal Saiyan away, causing him to destroy the ground to stop his body. But still, even blocking Goku's attack, Krista spits out blood, clearly very stunned by the attack. The king notes that not only has his opponent's defensive ability changed, but his offense is also much more powerful. This Ultra Instinct is really an amazing technique, but Goku is already after the king and he apologizes, but he needs to get this over with. However, to Goku's surprise, when he would land a finishing blow on the king, he simply misses, which leaves the god of destruction very confused. Krista wastes no time, and then, accumulating a strange energy in his fist, rushes towards Goku to land a blow on him. Goku clearly dodges, but strangely the attack lands, and it was a great attack. The destroyer is thrown very violently into the force field, causing destruction on impact. But it's not just Goku who's very surprised by the attack. Kaba and Vados didn't understand very well either. And Vados notes that Krista's last attack far exceeded the power he was going to use in the fight so far. Goku, while getting up, thinks that he is sure he dodged that blow, and also that he would land that attack. What happened? And what absurd strength was that? But the destroyer's reflections are interrupted when he looks up into the sky and sees something. Did he transform? In the sky, Krista shows a new form. Kaba is surprised. Can the king transform, and what form is this? Doesn't look like the average Super Saiyan. But Vados isn't the least bit surprised. After all, it's only to be expected that the millennial Saiyan warrior with a prodigious track record like his would have some sort of hidden power, right? But Goku recognized that energy. He's already felt something similar, and if that's what he's thinking, it could be very serious. And while he thinks that, he is remembering Brawly. But the time for speculation is over. Krista is ready to finish the battle and screams for the god of destruction to get ready too. Krista lunges at the god of destruction, who was getting up to react, when suddenly he is startled to see around the king the image of an Uzaru roaming at him. Goku is very scared. "What is that?" Kaba yells for him to get out of there, and then a gigantic explosion happens. Kaba has to hold on to Vados to not being blown away by the wind, and he does so. He wonders if he wasn't going too far for a friendly fight, and Vados, in agreement with the young Saiyan, says that apparently Saiyans take even the most random fights very seriously. When the wind blows over, Kaba is finally able to release the angel and asks who the winner was. At the center of the crater is Krista, but he is alone there. Did he miss the attack? Kaba asks where Goku is. Vados, who has apparently already seen him, with a serious expression, questions if he really reached this point. And Krista, also seeing something, says it doesn't look good. And Kaba, just now seeing that what had happened, asks what this is. And then we finally see Goku, who has a completely different appearance, a demonic appearance, and surrounded by the energy of destruction. Kaba asks what that is. Goku has changed a lot, and he has never felt anything so dark in his entire life. Goku, with a devilish smile, raises his hand and says he's going to destroy everything. Krista, with a worried expression, takes his fighting stance, but then someone puts his finger on Goku's neck and he quickly returns to normal, very confused. Goku asks what happened and what he was doing up there. Vados, who was already behind him and was the one who turned him back to normal, explains that at the moment Krista was going to hit him. Goku increased the Ultra Instinct's power level so he could escape the attack, and how he was already at his limit of power he could use. Even this quickly increase in power was enough for him to lose control. Goku, now understanding what happened, lowers his head and, disappointed, assumes his defeat. Krista, also clearly very relieved, undoes his transformation as he sighs in relief that it's all over. But Vados has some thoughts about what just happened. She notes that actually, since Krista's last attack was direct and obvious, Goku should have been able to dodge it without raising his powers, but he probably saw or felt something that she and Kaba couldn't, and it distracted him. Because this, he was late to dodge and needed to increase his powers to dodge. It seemed that this man named Krista really has something very special. But now, with a relaxed smile, Vados calls out to them to heal them and fix their clothes. Some minutes later, everyone is talking peacefully in the king's palace. Goku and Krista's wounds have already been healed, and their clothes have been also repaired by Vados. Goku thanks the king, saying it was so much fun fighting him, but he hopes that next time the king won't hide his real powers. Krista smiles, surprised that Goku noticed, but he also tells the Saiyan God that he also realized that he was far from using his full power. Goku confirms, explaining that until he manages to control his power well, he has a very big limit on how much energy he can expend. And then Goku asks why Krista didn't participate in the Tournament of Power. Things could have been very different for Universe 6 if he had been there. Krista explains that he promised a long time ago that he would always stay on Sadala to protect the planet and the people, and that's why he doesn't leave the planet. This surprises Goku, who says he is a very responsible king. Goku's admiration is understandable, as he would certainly never give up a good fight for something like that. And now, much to Kaba's annoyance, Goku calls him to see Kale and Caulifla. Kaba scolds the destroyer, reminding him not to talk about them there. Goku apologizes, embarrassed. But Krista doesn't care. He says that Goku is a god, and he has nothing to do with the planet's internal conflicts. The king says that Kaba can take him to them, but he must be careful and not go into too dangerous places. Sadala's elite captain accepts his king's order. Krista says he now has kingdom business to attend to, but before he goes, he asks Goku that, in case he sees Kale, try to get some sense into her head, and he completes saying that his daughter is very problematic. Goku is shocked. Is he Kale's father? Kaba laughs, embarrassed. He forgot to warn about that. A few minutes later, Goku, Kaba, and Vados are flying across the planet. On the way, Goku observes a poor village where the people seem to live precariously. The visitor asks Kaba why the villages in the region are so poor compared to the main city and the king's palace. Kaba explains that lately some regions are going through difficult times because of crime. And this region specifically is rebel territory, and they are suffering a lot from the war. This surprises Goku. Is the planet at war? Kaba says yes, there is a revolutionary force that wants to remove King Krista from power, and the one who commands his revolutionary force is Caulifla. This surprises Goku a lot. Caulifla is a revolutionary? But on second thought, now Goku understands why Kale and Caulifla's names caused so much resentment back in the capital and the palace. And Kale, the king's daughter, is a revolutionary leader's best friend. That must be pretty sad. Kaba explains that Kale, like many other people, disagreed with the king's rule and revolted against him. Although Krista is a great hero of Sadala, many have forgotten his heroic efforts over time, and many generations have passed. Krista doesn't make a point of reminding everyone about it so that his fame doesn't increase too much and spread across the universe. Since, if his fame spreads across the universe, many aliens would want to go to the planet to prove their powers against the king, which could put Sadala at risk. But because they don't remember Krista's deeds, many see him as a tyrant complacent with power, and so they decide to create a revolutionary force to remove him from throne. Caulifla commands this revolution. Kaba also explains that in the beginning the revolutionaries were just criminal groups that dominated small regions. But in recent times, the rebels have gained funding from a tycoon who takes advantage of wars taking place in the universe. Since then, the revolutionary forces have grown a lot and are giving a lot of work to the imperial forces. Kaba finally stops, and Goku and Vados do the same. The Saiyan captain points in the direction and says that the castle that served as a base for the rebels is there. He's already gotten too close, and he's already taking a risk. If he goes any further, he could have a lot of problems. Goku says that everything is fine and that they can go on their own. Meanwhile, in the rebellion castle, Caulifla devours a piece of meat while Kale watches her. A subordinate enters the room saying that a guy and a woman outside wanting to see her. Caulifla, with her mouth stuffed with meat, asks who it is. The soldier says he's forgotten their names but describes that man wore a funny necklace and the woman had a halo like an angel. Caulifla immediately scolds the soldier saying that it must be Champa and Vados and that it was to send them in. The soldier, fearing Caulifla's anger, hastens to obey. Caulifla is curious about the reason for Champa's visit. She says that maybe he wants to ask them to fight him again. If that's the case, she can't accept it. She's too busy, but maybe they could accept it in exchange for some favor for their cause. After coming up with this idea, she asks what Kale thinks of it, but Kale just thinks Caulifla is really smart, and she agrees. And she also says that Champa will be stunned to see her on the throne, but when the gates open, they're the one who is stunned when they see Goku wearing a God of Destruction costume walking in saying hello. Some minutes later, Goku finishes explaining how it all happened and he became a God of Destruction. Caulifla now understands and agrees that Champa really seemed to be a very neglectful god. But then the Saiyan girl gets straight to the point. She wants Goku to fight her. He is surprised by the sudden request. He thought that after he became a god, people would be afraid of him, but it's the opposite. It seems that everyone is eager to fight him. Caulifla justifies her request by saying that she won't miss the chance to fight a Saiyan god of destruction. She's sure that if they fight, she'll get stronger, like last time. But Goku apologizes. He can't. He explains that his powers are still unregulated and if he fights he could hurt her. She's too fragile to fight him. After all, she can't even transform into a Super Saiyan 3. Caulifla, annoyed by what Goku said, says that if that's the case, she'll make the fight more interesting for him, and then calls Kale. Kale, as usual, is not understanding anything. Caulifla, with a smile of someone hiding something, says it's time for them to do that. Goku is curious. What are they going to do? And then the two Saiyan girls start doing a very special dance. Goku immediately recognizes those moves and is then completely surprised. And then they complete the movement. And when that happens, a lot of energy is released. And according to Goku, it's a very powerful energy. And so a new Saiyan warrior is born. The Metamoru fusion of Kale and Caulifla, Kale, who is of course ready to kick his ass. But Goku is still confused. How did they both learn that dance? Kale explains that after the Tournament of Power, Kale and Caulifla were very impressed and excited by Kefla's power. So they asked the Supreme Kai Fuwa to keep the Potara earrings so they could fuse whenever they wanted. But Fuwa did not allow it, saying that the Potara's earrings are divine artifacts and could not be used that way. But with a little threat, the Kaioshin revealed another way to fuse, the dance of the Metamoru race. So the two went to the planet of the race and asked the Metamorus to teach them to dance. That's how Kefla was born. Goku finally got it. It looked like the Metamoru race is not extinct in Universe 6 as it is in Universe 7. Kefla reminds Goku that he wanted to see a Super Saiyan 3, so just watch. Kefla begins to emanate a large amount of energy so powerful that it makes Sadala tremble. And as lightning forms around the Saiyan warrior, her hair starts to grow. That's Super Saiyan 3. Goku is impressed by her power. That was no ordinary Super Saiyan 3. Her hair was green like that weird Kale transformation. That form was much more powerful than any ordinary Super Saiyan 3. Kale asks if the king is seeing this. That will be all for him. From his palace, Krista seems to sense Kale's energy and has a very serious expression. Maybe angry, maybe worried, who knows? After that, Kale asks Goku if he's ready to face the most powerful warrior in the universe. Goku is excited, and while doing his fighting stance, he says it's going to be amazing. But a sudden blow puts the God of Destruction to sleep. Kale complains, what was going on? why she did it. Vados justifies it by saying that Goku has already abused his power once today, and if he fought her, he would definitely do it again, and that would be very dangerous. She says that it's best to take him to rest, so maybe next time. Kale, completely disappointed, undoes the transformation and says he's an idiot. In space, while Goku's away, Vados says that despite the scares, she is very grateful that Goku chose to visit this planet first. She is sure that seeing the powerful people who live in Sadala, he is more excited to be a god of the universe. He also understood his limits better and will definitely train more willingly to improve. Today was a good day. Between scares and joy, Goku ended his visit to the planet Sadala, the planet of the Saiyan of Universe 6. What will be the next adventures of Goku, God of Destruction? Find out in the next chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai.